In my mind, there should be, a person could have a form that has all the pertinent information on it that you want, 1 page per property, just so that when you're shuffling through papers in your research in that scramble the last few days, so you can keep it straight and everything kind of in the same format. So where is it I have the lot size? It's right here on this side and so on. Just to really try to be organized. The other important things that we found was that it's good to sit where you can hear, because at first we couldn't hear the auctioneer very well. So it was important that someone spoke up and said, we can't hear you, and then he adjusted that. So it was very key. Where we sat was important, especially we found out later in the day. It was really important where we sat. Plus, Quin had a bright colored shirt on, which I think was key. Earlier in the auction, there was a lady that bid on something, and the auctioneer referred to her, the lady in the lime green has it. So it was very defining. So I thought, this is important. You want to be seen at the auction. It's not a place where you're not going to be seen.
I moved one time in order to be seen because there was another bidder right close beside me, and I didn't want either one of us getting confused. So I moved, and that helped too. And
he raised his hand really good and big, and so very visible. And the auctioneer said, like, there was somebody that missed getting a property that he wanted because he didn't step in on the opening bid. And the auctioneer said closed, and the guy said, hey, I bid on that. And the auctioneer said, he made it plain, I didn't see you. If you want to be seen or heard, that's your job to be seen or heard. So we knew how important that was. So the properties were spaced out, and Quin bid on the first 2, and we didn't get them. And in between, there was some space in between them, and in between those, I was calculating the percentage that people were bidding up to. So we kind of had an idea, how is this going per our plan, you know, for hours.
And the first property came up, and we met our threshold where we wanted to be at, and it was tempting, of course, to just bid a little farther and, you know, past our what we decided we were going to do, which was about 27%, something like that. And I think it was actually 30%. But anyway, we decided we better hold off. We had 3 more properties, and even though we didn't want to go home empty-handed, we held off. And same with the second property came up, and it was just a little bit out of our reach to obtain that one. But we still watched it and realized that, you know, that guy, he still bought in at about 50%, we believe, of what that property was worth.
Lunchtime came back. We just thought, well, somebody was sitting where we had been, so we thought, well, we'll sit on this side of the room now. And we had been observing different things in the auction, like, you know, there's these 3 guys over there that were spending a lot of money. There was a guy at the back on the phone spending a lot of money, and it was really curious. So it just happened that after the lunchtime, we were kind of back and over from these 3 guys that had been spending a lot of money in the morning. So this property comes up, and it's the opening bid. And we already knew, like, we only had, I think, 37,000. The opening bid was 33 because of back taxes and a lien against the property that the city had put on, not a lien, but a bill that the city was requiring to be paid for a house that had been removed. So it's already at 33 something, and Quin put his hand up nice and big. Auctioneer took his bid, looked around, and I'm sitting behind these 3 guys going, are they going to bid? And I didn't see them bid. And going once, going twice, sold. So Quin are like, holy. So we go up to the front. But here's the thing, as we're going up, I'm kind of aware that there's people walking behind us. So we get up the front, and you have to go to the front at that county to pay. And the lady that's up there goes, she sees Quin and I, and then these 3 guys behind us. And she goes, what's this, the Grammys? And then the guy behind us said, we just won the bid on that property. And I'm just like frozen. And the auctioneer said, no, you didn't. This gentleman here did.
The story on that is that the one investor, he raised his hand, but he looked to the left of him at his partner. And
only like about this. Yeah. I was sitting behind him, and I didn't see him bid. Sure. Quin did.
Sure, and they were investors. I was watching them buy lots of properties. They were higher priced properties, and so they had a lot on their plate, kind of, I think is what happened. And he was kind of unsure of his bid, but he had his head turned when the auctioneer pointed to me. The auctioneer knew it was me, that because I raised my hand nice and high, and I knew too that the auctioneer pointed to me, and it was my bid that I was winning. And that's what happens. I think that's another reason why you can get properties for a good deal lots of times, is because they get auctioned off so quickly.
And the auctioneer stuck to his rules too.
Yep.
They were upset. They were upset, and they said, well, can't we do this again, you know? And the auctioneer said, nope, gavel went down. And because we saw these buyers' behavior later, where they bid someone else up like extremely high, we realized how lucky we were that they didn't get in on the bidding.
So we thought, okay, we're going to celebrate. Let's go look at our property. So we go out to the car, and I punch in the address, and we go driving, and we're like, this doesn't look right. And then we pull over. It's like, it's supposed to be right there, and that is not where we were this morning. And
my mom, of course, goes, what have we done?
I have never felt so sick in my whole life. I was just sick, because I'm thinking, what am I going to tell my mother-in-law? What am I going to tell my husband and Kayleen, my daughter? You know, just like, oh, we were just afraid to walk down the hill because this was totally not the right area. So Quin's like, okay, let me look at the GPS. So in my excitement, I'd put the wrong address in.
So then we started over and went to the right place. So in this particular parcel, of course, there's always research that you can do pertaining to other documents about this lot, about this parcel. And on this one, there was an environmental document that the former owner had submitted to the city, saying, you know, there's this and this and this environmental. In fact, it was like a multi-page document. And we feel that it very well put off other potential buyers because no one else bid against this lot. But in reading through the document, you could see that it was really just a complaint against the city, complaint because of an issue he had with the city, and that the city really didn't put value in it, and it was actually, the complaint really went away. The bottom line is there are no environmental issues about the lot that are going to stop me from making some money on that lot. One thing I found is that after I got smarter and smarter as I did my research and realized there's this place about zoning and what did that mean. You know, what is an RS96? What is an R? And so on. And so I made a list for that county of this zone format means this, and this means that. And so like for the lot we bought, the RS 9.6 means that you have to have 9,600 square feet to make a lot. So then I could look at, you know, my lot is almost 44,000 square feet, so that means that the potential is there for 3 lots. I bought 1, but there's a potential for 3. That's very key when you're selling it to a buyer. It's like, look, this is the price, but you can make 3 lots out of this. So I made a page of those so that it made it, so I didn't have to keep researching the number, and just when I could see that on the information on the website, I would understand immediately what does that mean for me as I'm investigating these lots. So understanding the zoning for the county that you're researching, I found very useful. The property is a vacant lot. It's in Federal Way, and it's 1.01 acres, almost 44,000 square feet. And it was full of blackberry bushes, which are rampant in Washington.
Also, there was a sign there that said, you know, you owe the city a fine, or the previous owner, it was addressed to him, a fine for this unsightly property, and you got to get rid of these weeds and so on. And plus we thought to show it better. So it took us most of the day, but we got arranged, you know, we rented a truck, rented a bushwhacker.
We can't help it, we're do-it-yourselfers a little bit too much. And so I know Ted's training isn't to be doing much work and all that kind of stuff, but I wanted to save a little money, and so next time I won't have to. And I'll get some other guy in a bobcat to go out there and just plow it away. But we saved some money, and we did what we could real quick for the day, you know. And there wasn't too much harm in it. It was a good experience for a young guy like me anyway, right?
Yeah.
And so
you should have saw how scratched up his arms were afterwards. But seriously, you know, it gets dark there at 4:30, so guess what we were doing in the dark? Went and bought a flashlight. I'm like showing the flashlight so we can see.
Something else just popped in my head too, I don't know if it got mentioned or not, is I really don't like buying properties that have a bunch of for sale signs close by your property that you just bought. I hate that. I mean, because then they look at all those other properties and who knows how long down the list you are until they buy yours, if yours isn't quite as nice as theirs. And so I just love it when there's not a whole lot in that area that's for sale. You know, this game is about getting your money out quick so you can get to the next property and do it again and again.
What I liked about the property is that there was lots of houses nearby that were priced really high. Some of the other lots we looked at, the houses weren't valued as high, but just across the road there was a property at $788,000. And so I knew that with a piece of land that high in value, or a piece of land that was that large in size, I knew that the value was there to it. With a property that size across the street, that price across the street, sorry, and I just knew that ours was going to be worth close to the tax evaluation of about $124,000.
We paid just over $33,000. And I think $12,000 of that was the fee for removal of this house that had been there for a few years. We knew there had been a house there because my coach Bill found that out. On the website for King County, there is a history of what's happened with the lot. And there was actually indication on there of, first of all, a change in the taxes against the property changed drastically. And then there was also it looked like a fine that had been levied. And then further down on the page, it did talk about, there was something about removal of house in 2000, excuse me, in 2009, I think it was. There were pictures available online through the county showing pictures of that lot at different years. One when the house was newer, and then a few years later there's another aerial photo showing the house and some changes in the lot, and then the latest one was that it was a vacant lot.